Hi, everyone. So I'm going live because I want to walk you through some of the prep work that I'm doing for a client. So I'm meeting with my client in a few minutes, and I figured let me walk you through how I prep as a consultant to work with my client. So my client right now has engaged me to help them with integrating Microsoft Copilot into the workflows, and not so much integrating it because Microsoft is already embedded in their whole um, platform. So they are a Microsoft joint. But what I'm doing is helping them to maximize their use, because right now a lot of people are using it to like summarize documents, probably respond to emails, like generate better responses, but they're not really truly using it to its potential. So, one of the topics I'm going to be covering with my client today is around the use of Power Automate to create a workflow. So, what I did is I've created a mock exercise, and we're going to be acting as if we are a small business that needs a ticketing system. So, here I'm in Power Automate. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger and make myself a little bit smaller. There we go. So, here we are in Power Automate. And what I've done here is there's a workflow here that I've already created. So, you can see here this goes from Outlook to SharePoint. And if you look over here, this is the actual workflow that it goes through. So it's going from Microsoft Outlook, there's a trigger in there. So, trigger is basically what kicks off an event. So, an event is the whole workflow. So, in this scenario, I have a client who wants to have something happen every time they receive a help ticket via email. So they don't have a IT ticketing system, and they're scrappy. They're probably a small joint, and so this is a mock scenario. This isn't a real scenario. But I want you to see here that you can create some really cool workflows just using prompts and Power Automate. Now the trick is that before you create any type of automation, you need to figure out exactly what it is that you want to happen. And that's where a lot of people get tripped up big time. So what happens is they'll go in and they'll be like, I want to create an agent or an automation that will do that'll take information and do something with it. However, they're not taking the time to define what is the problem that they're trying to solve. And in this case, the problem we're trying to solve is that we need a way to capture emails that are a request for feedback or a request for help. We want to log that information somewhere. And then we want to send a response to the person who submitted the ticket for help, telling them, hey, we've received your ticket for help. And then a trigger to the person who should handle it. So your team should have eyes on that, and wherever it's going to be put. So the idea here is that you want to really figure out what's happening in the workflow. So let me just show you a simple workflow and what it would look like. I have it here in my notepad. Let me just put this here so I can show you. Move this up here. This notepad, unfortunately, I can't make things bigger, but here we go. So this is the workflow that I've put together for this Power Automate. So the first thing is when an email arrives with the word help in the subject, it is going to trigger Power Automate. So Power Automate is going to see the word help in the email, and it's going to trigger, it's actually in the subject line, and it's going to trigger it to do something. So what it's going to do is going to filter the subject to make sure it passes the keyword match. And then it's going to send it to SharePoint. And in SharePoint, it's going to create a SharePoint where it can create new rows, and it will add that email to the rows. And what it's doing is it will actually have information put into those roles. So what's going to go into it? So Power Automate is basically going to add the subject line. It's going to add the user name. It's going to summarize the issue that has been submitted. And then it's going to send off an email to that sender to tell them, hey, we've logged your issue. Okay. And so that is the workflow. So being able to understand exactly what is it that you want to happen is important first. So you got to set what is the scenario that is happening here. So that's what we're doing here. And then you write your prompt. So I always write my prompts offline. I never write my prompts inside of the AI tool because I want to make sure that I have the right information and that I'm concise. I teach the RICE framework a lot, which is writing your prompts using a methodology that gives the AI a role so it can think in that perspective, then the instructions, context, and example. In the case of Power Automate, because we're creating an automation, you don't have to tell it to put on specific roles. So you can just give it the instructions, but you need to give it specific information. So in here, what I'm telling it is like when an email arrives in my Outlook inbox with the subject containing help, and I put it in parentheses because that's a trigger word, create a new item in SharePoint listed in a SharePoint list called help request log with the title set to the email subject. So that's the title. And then the sender is set to the sender's email address. And then receive set to the email arrival time. So then we have a timestamp for when that request was actually received. And then put a summary of the text in the SharePoint. So all this information is going to go into that SharePoint log. And then send a reply to the sender saying that the request has been received and will be reviewed shortly. So this is very specific. It's a very specific automation that I want to happen. And so that is what you see here. This is the exact workflow that is taking place. So this is receiving the email with the word help. There's a trigger. It goes to SharePoint. It just does a bunch of stuff in SharePoint, and then it sends that email. So to create this, I'm going to go back. I'm going to copy my prompt, and let me go back here. I'm going to go back so you can see. This is the exact prompt that I wrote up here. But let's refresh this so we can start from scratch. All right, let's refresh it here. It's not going to let me refresh it because I restarted. Okay, so our prompt is here. Then it says, okay, this is the workflow. I can look at it and say, okay, yeah, that's good. I can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. This is really important. A lot of people don't realize that these thumbs up and thumbs down are really important because large language models and generative AI work on a reward system. This is the reward system right here, a thumbs up or thumbs down. When you give it a thumbs up, you're telling it, hey, this is a great job, and it did exactly what I want it to do. It'll ask you to put some details in there. If you don't, if it's a thumbs down, you need to tell it what it did wrong. And that way it can autocorrect so it doesn't make that same mistake again or ask for clarification. So we'll give it a thumbs up. As you can see here, I'm going to just do, I'm not going to attach a file. I'm going to do did exactly what I wanted. And then I can say, share the prompt. Sure. No, I don't want them to contact me. So let's just click submit. Okay. So there I gave it the feedback so they know that hey, this was a great job. And now what I can do is just keep it and continue because I don't have anything else to add. And then I'll just create the workflow. Okay. So the workflow is now created, and you'll see here that it's going to give you like what it's doing right now. And then it's going to say, you know, to get this workflow ready, finish setting up this action. So we're going to click on it. It's going to ask us here to set the site example. I don't have one right now, so I'm just going to click this. No, I don't want to click that one because we don't want to do a bad database or a database that I shouldn't be putting stuff into. But I would create a database here, give it help log request, give it an item name. It could be dynamic, and then set the parameters here. So then I can test this, and you can go into settings and you can play around with this. I need to create a new database or a new SharePoint because I don't want to use an existing SharePoint that's here. I failed to set that up ahead of time. But then you would send yourself a test email to make sure it works. And like that, you can create an easy automation using Power Automate with Copilot in M365. So I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you guys are having a great day. And I know this is a super short live, but I will be posting this again so you can review it. And I hope that you found all of this information useful. Have a great day. And I look forward to sharing more with you guys. Bye.